Hello all. Welcome to today's presentation on components of internet. This presentation is part of web-based technologies and multimedia applications, a course of certificate in information technology with course code CIT 003. This is the second presentation in this course. In the first presentation, we discussed about the evolution of internet, advantages, disadvantages and other related issues. Today we will be looking at various components of this massive network internet. The objectives of today's presentation is to know the software components of the internet, to know hardware components of the internet, to know who runs the internet, if at all there is anybody who is running it, and also to know about the internet service providers. Now let us start with the software components. The software components of internet are internet browser, firewall and TCP/IP stack. Browser is one thing which everybody of us are seeing it. Without browser, you cannot just browse through the documents across the internet. Yes, there is a network in place, a global network is in place. Many networks became together internet and you can access information anywhere across the internet. But then network is in place, but you need something to access the internet. For example, let me say there is an exhibition, okay, lot of things are there inside, but then there should be a way in, there should be some entrance wherein you can enter, you can go through and you can come out. This facility is provided by the browser. So internet browser is one of the most important software components which we use almost every day for number of hours. So internet browser is nothing but it is a software application. It is for accessing information on the World Wide Web. Internet and World Wide Web are different. World Wide Web enables you to browse through different documents. In fact, it connects one document to another with the help of hyperlinks. Then you can browse through those documents using the browser. So it is possible to browse through various documents across the internet using an internet browser, and it is a software application for accessing information on the World Wide Web. It converts the standard hypertext markup language web pages to a very sophisticated display with colors and pictures. You have text in place and that text can be converted into hypertext markup language and that can be browsed on the internet, and you can link many pages which are related to it on internet, and using hyperlinks you can go to n number of pages from that base document. Some of the popular web browsers are Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, Microsoft Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, Microsoft Edge, UC browser, and then we also have a Spacetime 3D. It is a graphical user interface that displays web pages in a 3D tabbed stack. Google Chrome and Microsoft Internet Explorer are very famous. I worked with Firefox also, I worked with Edge also, I worked with Mosaic also, I worked with Opera also, and I worked with Netscape Navigator also. But as on date, people are mostly using Google Chrome and Microsoft Internet Explorer. Safari, it is a browser made for devices of Apple. The operating systems that are developed by Apple use the Safari. So Safari browser can be found on all those devices in which Apple operating systems are there. For example, on iPad, which runs on iPad OS, accommodates a Safari browser. It is also possible to run a Google Chrome, but Safari comes along with the device, and Google Chrome we need to install and we have to run it separately. Microsoft Edge is bit advanced when compared to the Explorer. You can open the PDF documents directly. Then Opera browser is also famous. In mobile devices, we also use Opera sometimes. It becomes necessary because the page is compatible with Opera. So there are many popular web browsers. I am showing you a graph where we are comparing the usage of several web browsers. Now from that graph we can conclude that Microsoft Internet Explorer and Google Chrome are most widely used web browsers. Yes, all the web browsers are being used to some extent, but these two browsers are being used mostly. So one important thing that you can do is that you try to compare the web browsers not from the usage perspective but from their feature perspective. You can consider it as an assignment that come up with a comparison of different web browsers. What are the strengths of each browser? Try to come up with those unique features of web browser which are not present in the others. You may find some compatibility related issues that a particular web browser doesn't run on Windows 10. That is also very good. So you will get an insight into the features of web browsers and why they are being used mostly, and if some browser is not being used mostly, why it is not being used. And ultimately, in case you have interest, you can even try to develop a web browser for the internet. So now let us see what is a firewall. A firewall can be implemented as software or hardware. Firewall establishes a barrier between a trusted internal network and an untrusted external network, such as internet, increasing the security of your network. Let me just take one example. Before you enter some institutions, there will be a security barricade. You will be checked and only then you will be allowed to enter. Now this security barricade is something like a firewall. It doesn't allow any external to just walk into their institution. It first ensures that it is something which can enter the internal network and it is not harmful, and it is also needed to enter. It stops unwanted access to the computer. Sometimes whenever we are trying to access some web pages, we find that the web page is blocked. That is one type of feature that you can assume as firewall. And in some cases, the pages are directly blocked at the firewall and you cannot access those portals. So normally your system administrator will decide what cannot be accessed and he will block them at the firewall stage itself. It will also block viruses, worms from accessing computers. So a firewall is very much desirable to have. In case you don't have a firewall, there are very much good chances of your computer being attacked or being hacked. A firewall is very much essential in large institutions where they have large number of computers that are networked and people are constantly using them and constantly internet is being accessed. So a firewall is like a security cover for the entire network of computers which are accessing internet as well as communicating with each other. So you can try what types of firewalls are available in the market. You have many brands, you have several capacities for the firewalls. So just try to find out the firewalls that are available in the market and what are their features and what are their shortcomings, or if you find the cost of a firewall is very high, then why maybe it is rich in features. So you will have an idea of the power of firewall, like what firewalls can do at most and what firewalls can do at the minimal. That will be a very good information for you to carry with you when you are attending interviews or anything in future. Now comes protocols. Basically, I am discussing about protocols so that you understand some future terminologies very easily. A protocol, it is a standard set of rules that allow electronic devices to communicate with each other. These rules include what type of data may be transmitted, what commands are used to send and receive data, and how data transfers are confirmed. Every day we hear the names of number of protocols, and sometimes we don't even know that it is a protocol which we are using. For example, whenever we browse a web page, it starts with HTTP. Sometimes it is HTTPS. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So it is having a set of rules. So these rules are uniform across the documents for all the web pages, and once you type the URL starting with HTTP, it will immediately go and get that particular page from the corresponding server in the network and it will load onto your browser. Let us see what is meant by a TCP IP stack. A TCP IP stands for Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol. So TCP IP stack means basically TCP IP is nothing but it is a collection of protocols. It is a stack of protocols. It is a group of protocols that define internet and communication method used by it. Entire internet runs on the basis of TCP IP. TCP IP software, it is initially made for Unix, but now it is available for all major operating systems. Any computer which would like to connect to internet should have TCP IP software. One very much important thing that needs to be learned is that initially when there was no internet, we have many networks and every network is running on some protocols. But once everything has come into the internet, all networks started running on the TCP IP, that is Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol. ARPANET's earlier protocols were abolished and everything was moved to TCP IP. TCP divides the data into packets. So again, each packet is having some size. It accommodates some bits or bytes, I can say, because a byte is collection of bits. Okay, a packet is collection of bits, and you can also say a packet is collection of bytes. So TCP, that is Transmission Control Protocol, it divides the data into packets. It adds special information such as packet position, error correction code, ensuring that the packets are reassembled correctly at the destination. IP places destination addressing information on such packets. So basically it is the job of Internet Protocol which will be stamping the destination addresses on each packet. So it is like a courier service. Whenever you are sending 10 packets or 15 packets or 20 envelopes, on every envelope there is a destination address. So you submit them and they go to the destination address. So it is the job of Internet Protocol to stamp the destination addresses information on all the packets. Packets may follow different paths across the internet from source to destination. This is very important. Most probably it is also true for the courier service also, because some may go by air, some may go by train also based on the type of booking you have done. But in the case of the data transfer across the internet, Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol, when it is using packets for data transfer, though all packets are going to one destination, it doesn't literally mean all packets. See, one important thing is that when we are transferring data from one place to another place, that particular data will be divided into packets. Now, this all packets, they go to the same destination. But when somebody else is sending information, there it may be different. There the destination is different. So data when divided into packets, only those packets consisting of that data will go to the particular destination. Sometimes it happens that I am sending data to the same destination, somebody else is also sending the data to the same destination. That's okay, that is not an issue at all. So the most important thing is, once packets are there and once packets are transmitted, the path they take to reach the destination need not be the same. It may be different. So one person reaches, let me say Mumbai through one route, another person reaches Mumbai through another route. So ultimately destination is same, but the route taken by these packets is different. So packets may follow different paths across internet from source to destination. At the same time, one very important thing is that how the packet decides which route it has to take. Sometimes what happens is some paths are loaded, okay, there is congestion. So the packet goes through another path. A router load balances various paths that exist on the network. So a packet might have gone in one path, that path must have had congestion next, so another packet will go in the another route. So different packets take different routes, and it is the router which balances the loads across various paths so that there is no problem for any packet to start and continue traveling from the source to the destination. There are different layers in the transmission control protocol or internet protocol. So in short, I will be saying TCP IP. Okay. In the case of application layer, it includes hypertext transfer protocol, file transfer protocol, post office protocol, simple mail transfer protocol, and simple network management protocol. So every layer is having some protocols. So all these protocols together make up that layer. Now let us consider the transport layer. In transport layer, we have transmission control protocol, that is TCP, user datagram protocol, that is UDP. Then we have network layer. In this we have internet protocol, IP, and ICMP, that is internet control message protocol. We have physical layer in which we have Ethernet for local area networks and address resolution protocol. In short, we call it ERP. Now let us see what are the hardware components of internet. In hardware components, we have network interface card, modem, communication link, router, and hub. In network interface card, basically network interface card connects computer to network. It's a circuit board or chip which will be installed on the computer. Network interface card has the address hard coded into it. It is also called network adapter card. We have internal network interface card. We also have external NIC. In the case of external NIC, there is no need to open computer to install it. Just plug an external network adapter to the USB port of your computer. You can now access the internet, and it is the fastest way to connect to internet. In the case of internal network interface card, it is installed in expansion slot inside your computer. Computers normally come with an internal NIC. Normally you don't need to install an NIC into your computer. Modem, it stands for modulator or demodulator. So it stands for modulator demodulator. It converts digital information to analog signals as part of modulation and analog signals to digital information as part of demodulation. When a computer is connected to internet through a telephone line, modem lets information to be exchanged between computer and the telephone line. Internal modem is nothing but they are peripheral component interconnect cards. They are called PCI cards in short. They consume less space inside computer. They do not require power supply. External modems are installed outside the computer, connected either by a USB cable or a serial port. They are expensive than internal modems. They contain lights which indicate their functioning. They can be disconnected and connected to another computer, but they use one communication port. Communication links are nothing but they are the cables which connect one point to another point. There are different types of communication links. One is twisted pair, one is coaxial cable, other is optical fiber and wireless links. A twisted pair is a type of wiring in which two conductors of a single circuit are twisted together for the purposes of improving electromagnetic compatibility. Coaxial cable consists of an inner conductor surrounded by a concentric conducting shield with the two separated by a dielectric, which is nothing but an insulation material. Coaxial cable refers to the inner conductor and the outer shield sharing a geometric axis. It is used to carry high frequency electrical signals with low losses. Optical fiber is a cable that consists of tiny glass or plastic filaments. These filaments carry light beams. Digital data is transmitted through cable through rapid pulses of light. At the receiving end, light pulses are translated into binary values which can be read by a computer. Now coming to the routers, which basically manages the load across the different parts on the networks. They maintain a map of the physical networks on a network and forward data received from one physical network to other physical networks. They are essential for computers on different networks to communicate with each other. It forwards data packets between computer networks. Hub is a device that acts as a common connection point for devices in a network. It is used to connect segments of a local area network. It consists of multiple ports. When data arrives at one port, it is copied to the other port so that all segments of the local area network can see the data. Now coming to the internet authorities, we just browse internet. We don't know who is owner of the internet, and I think there is any owner of the internet. Okay, I don't think there is any owner of the internet. And the top authority in the case of internet is Internet Society. It is a voluntary membership organization. It promotes interchange of information, and also we have one more authority called Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, IANA. IP address space is managed globally, and it is managed globally by the IALA. Then we have Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF. They deal with technical and operational problems on the internet. Then all of us always know about internet service providers. Everybody is paying money to some person, and normally that particular person is an internet service provider for us. He must be having internet service providers again whom we don't know. So like that, it is a like a chain. So internet service providers, they provide internet access through their computers to your computer. Internet service providers computers are connected to internet. BSNL, MTNL, Airtel, Reliance Jio are some examples of internet service providers. End user connects to internet service provider. Internet service provider connects to a network access or network service provider. A network access provider or a network service provider owns, operates and sells access to internet backbone infrastructure and services. It provides access to its network access points for internet service providers and other service providers. So this is all about the internet authorities. So today what we have seen is, we have seen the software components of internet, hardware components of internet, internet authorities. We have seen that there are good number of software components. Browser is one of the most important software component. There are many types of browsers, but Google Chrome and Microsoft Internet Explorer are most popularly used browsers. Then we move to the hardware components. In the hardware components, we know that we can access internet only if we have a network interface card. It can be an external card or it can be an internal card. Normally all computers come with internal card, so there is no problem. Then we came to know about the internet service providers. We came to know about the internet authorities. So we are accessing internet from a particular internet service provider, and that person is accessing internet from other service providers. So ultimately everybody is buying the bandwidth from somebody else, and ultimately they are selling the bandwidth. So at some point we are paying for the internet to somebody, and that somebody is paying to somebody else to buy the bandwidth. So there are authorities on the internet who will be assigning IP addresses and other things. There are network access points, there were network access providers, there were network service providers. So all these things together, they are forming what is called the internet's functioning. And whenever we are using internet, we are just using it. Apart from whatever we discussed, there is one important thing, that is TCP/IP. The entire internet runs on the TCP/IP. There are several layers on the TCP/IP, and every layer supports some protocols. All these protocols collectively make up TCP/IP. The entire internet runs on TCP/IP. Entire internet runs on TCP/IP. Earlier, several networks are there. They used to run independently. At that time, they are not connected. But once everything is connected to the internet, what happened is that all the networks on internet started running on the TCP/IP. So today we have seen various components of the internet, and I have given you some assignments as part of this particular lecture. Be sure that you do them and you communicate with me on my email address. My email is pvsuresh@ignou.ac.in, pvsuresh@ignou.ac.in. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.